So my name's Travis Busch. I'm a PGA of Canada professional and associate golf professional here at Pheasant Glen Golf Resort. I'm also the academy instructor here that works with both the junior academy and public lessons. In this lesson video, I'm going to outline 3 different topics. They're going to be distance pitching, bunker play, and putting. So hopefully it's all informative to you and you can learn a lot through this video. First topic today is going to be distance pitching. There are going to be those yardages between 30 yards and 100 yards where it's not quite a full swing, but you're not quite greenside chipping either. This shot can be a little bit tougher for players as they might take it as more of a shorter full swing and they're not quite sure on what techniques to use. So I'll see some players set up with their normal stance, ball position in the center, take a shorter full swing, and they have no sense of control over what their yardage is or how to stop the golf ball. I'm going to outline a few different changes that you can make to this shot just to have a little bit more control over the golf ball. So I'm going to start with equipment itself. Most players either have 3 wedges or 4 wedges in their bag, depending on how far they hit their pitching wedge. If you're a shorter player and your pitching wedge doesn't go as far, you can get away with 3 wedges. And if you're a longer hitter that can hit your pitching wedge greater than 130 yards, you're going to probably need 4 wedges in your bag. The gapping is going to be approximately 20 yards when you're full swing. So if your pitching wedge is 120, you don't want your sand wedge or your next wedge to go less than 100. So if you can have some proper gapping with your equipment, that's going to help you with these shorter in-between shots as well. For this distance pitching shot, I choose my 56 degree sand wedge. That's my middle wedge. The 3, 52, 56, and 60. That's my middle wedge here. If you're a 2 wedge player, you're either going to choose your 52 or 50 or your 58 for this shot. Changes in this shot as opposed to just a shorter full swing are going to be ball position is the same and you're going to set up normal. The first change is going to be that your hands are going to press forward, creating forward shaft lean. When you create that forward shaft lean, your hands are going to hover over top of your left knee or your front knee. That's going to get the golf club to shut down and de-loft a little bit at address, and it'll achieve a little bit lower, more penetrating ball flight. So ball in the center of your stance, hands in the center, and then you're going to press them forward to hover over top of your left knee. When you get to this position, it's important to let your club face shut down, and it should appear to have approximately 45 degrees aloft. When you press your hands forward, you don't want that club face to twist open in this position. Okay, we're approximately 55 yards from the green, and this is one of those iffy areas for some players. But this is a type of shot that you'll be able to control where it's going to land and both stop. So we're going to focus more on carry distance and how to achieve that carry distance. Once you're in your setup position, the movement becomes simple. You've created some wrist hinge by pressing your hands forward, and you're not going to have to hinge your wrists in your backswing in this shot. You're simply going to be able to rotate your shoulders back and through impact. Okay, golf ball is going to take off at approximately 45 degrees to the ground. That's important in getting the golf ball to land and stop on the first bounce, creating spin on the golf ball. When you can achieve that 45 degree launch angle or takeoff angle, that's going to get the golf ball to land at its carry distance and stop. Players that are going to get the ball to go launch higher than that or go too high in the air, it's going to land and release forward because it's a lower spinning golf shot. Players that launch it a little bit lower, it has higher spin, but it's going to land, skid or roll forward and then stop, and it's not going to be as controllable. Working on distance of this shot. I start off with getting my left arm to be parallel with my shoulders or parallel with the ground. I'm going to call this position my 9 o'clock position. My arm is pointed at 9 o'clock on the clock. I'm going to hit a handful of shots from this position, figuring out how far that carry distance is And from there, I'm going to work around that one location or one backswing position. From that spot, I was able to carry it 57 yards on the launch monitor here. I would hit 5 to 10 shots trying to grab a consistent basis on that carry distance from that position. If you're not fortunate enough to have access to a launch monitor, I suggest going out to the golf course in the evening, hitting that 5 to 10 shots towards the green from a specific yardage and going and checking where those pitch marks are, where the golf ball lands for your yardage. Hopefully this distance pitching technique will gain a little bit of control inside 100 yards and you'll start to score better from this yardage. We're here in shot number 2 I'm going to outline today. It's going to be the bunker shot. And I'm going to first off talk about equipment. So on everybody's wedge, you're going to have a degree of loft, you're going to have a bounce number, and you're going to have a grind. On my Callaway wedge here, I have 60 degrees of loft, 12 degrees of bounce, and the grind is X grind. So we'll start with the 60 degrees of loft. That's the loft on the club face, and that's the degree of angle the ball is generally going to take off at. Second number is the bounce number. I use a 12 bounce, which is a relatively high number, and that's going to be relative to how high the leading edge is going to sit off the ground. That bounce or bounce number is going to be very key here in the bunker shot. That's going to be the part of the wedge we're going to use and take advantage of. The last part is the grind. Mine's an X grind, which is a little bit narrower sole with some heel relief and some back edge relief. That's going to allow me to get through the sand a little bit easier. There's a grind that Callaway offers, which is a W grind. The W grind's a little bit wider, and that's going to travel through the sand a little bit easier without digging deeper. The best way to try these out is to go to a fitting day and try some different grinds to see how it's going to react on both the grass and the sand. You'll find one that works best for you, and that'll be the one you choose. So, technical side of the bunker shot. I believe in having a relatively square stance to the target, and the club face is going to be slightly open. When the club face is slightly open, that exposes that back edge or that grind section and the bounce section. That's the part of the wedge that's going to enter the sand and then continue to power through the sand. If you use the leading edge of the wedge to enter the sand, you're going to see a very smooth bottom to the divot. The leading edge is going to dig deep and it's going to be a very smooth bottom. If you see that after your bunker shots, that means that you're not using this back edge grind or bounce section. If you're going to use the grind or the bounce section, you're going to see some messy sand similar to the way it's raked here in this bunker. It's also not going to dig near as deep. So it's going to be more of a splashing effect than a digging effect. So we're going to set up to the golf ball, relatively square stance, and the club face slightly open. Your arms are going to hang freely and be very extended, with the golf club hovering slightly above the sand. In your backswing in this shot, you're just going to keep your arms extended in both your backswing and into your follow through. Key for powering through this shot is to allow your upper body or your torso to turn towards the target after impact. Show that one more time. You're going to set up the relatively square stance to the target, slightly open club face to expose that bounce edge, and then just maintain your extension of your hands, feeling that they're going to be very far away from your body in your backswing and your follow through. Okay, that first bunker shot is going to be the lower trajectory of the two, or a standard bunker shot. In some scenarios, you get stuck with a wall in front of you or a larger bunker face or a short-sided pin where you need the ball to stop a little bit quicker. So I'm going to show you a way to hit the golf ball to go a little bit higher in the air right off the club face. Setup's going to be very similar to the first shot, except the club face is going to be a little bit more open. So still pretty square to your target, club face slightly open. The part that changes is your backswing. You're going to feel that your hands and arms are going to pick up high above your shoulder line. You might even be able to bend your left elbow slightly just to achieve that really steep upright angle here. So the backswing is going to be nice and high. You might even have some left elbow bend to create a nice steep angle to return the golf club into the golf ball. From this spot, you're going to be able to get a little bit steeper, slamming down and taking a little bit more sand. You'll notice in this shot, the ball is going to fly a little bit higher, have a lot more backspin. It's going to stop right away when landing. The last thing I see in the bunkers is players are going to give themselves a perfect lie when practicing every time. And then they get on the golf course and see some different lies and they're not quite sure how to play these shots. So I suggest playing around, raking some sand. I'm going to show you two shots today. One where the sand is completely removed and you're battling with a very firm or baked out bunker lie. And the second one is going to be a nice fluffy pile of sand that the shot's going to require a little bit different technique or maybe even a different club choice. When the ball's in a very firm setting, some people get a little bit excited that they could almost chip this shot. That just gives away all control in my mind. I would go with that second shot that I just showed you, where you're going to have a much steeper takeaway and a steeper attack angle. This is going to be done with that same 60-degree most lofted wedge in your bag, and you're going to really feel that you're going to be steep into the golf ball. Because the sand is a little bit firmer and you want to make sure you really dig down, you can lean a little bit more weight on your left side in your setup position. From this type of lie, the golf ball is going to come out a little bit lower and a lot faster than anticipated. So having that steeper attack angle to get it to jump high is necessary. Shot 2 is going to be where the golf ball is sitting on a very fluffy portion of the sand. Almost looks like a bit of a sandcastle lie here. That most lofted wedge, if you dig, is going to go right underneath the golf ball and the golf ball might come up short. So instead of chipping with your 60 degree, I would change to something with a little lower loft. I carry a 52 in my bag for this shot. With this 52 degree wedge, you're going to have a little less loft and a little bit more face contact when digging through. Same setup characteristics. Square stance, squarish stance, club face slightly open, exposing the bounce edge. And you're going to be a little bit shallower on this one, so you might feel that you might have 50-50 weight distribution here. Technique's going to go back to that first move where your hands are extended in your backswing and extended in your follow through. Golf ball took off a little bit lower in that shot based off of my club choice, not quite my technique. So when the golf ball is sitting up like that, maybe don't dig for your most lofted wedge in your bag right away. Think about maybe your 52 or even a pitching wedge in that type of scenario. And I suggest when you practice, try these different types of shots so you don't get stuck in that one bunker shot mentality. Okay, the last part of the segment is going to be putting. So once you've hit that great distance pitch in there or that nice bunker shot close, you got to be able to finish it off with your putting. I'm going to outline some setup changes that you can do with your putting just to see a little bit better strike on the putt, and then we'll go through a drill as to how to practice. So I'm going to run down a 4-part setup change for you to try out. First one is going to be ball position. I'd like to see the golf ball position straight down from your left ear. So if you're going to feel that it's right in line with your left ear or your front ear, that's going to allow it to be slightly forward in your stance. Next thing is going to be shift about 60% of your weight to your front foot. Because you're putting, you don't have to worry too much about a weight shift in your backswing to get some speed. So you can put your weight forward to ensure that the strike on the golf ball is going to be a little bit more efficient. Third thing is setting the ball distance-wise away from your body. You should feel that your eyes are set up right over top of the golf ball or slightly inside towards your feet. And the last thing, the most important thing, once you're comfortable and set up, I want you to narrow your focus on one spot on the golf ball. Personally, I play a Callaway golf ball and I look right at the number on my Callaway golf ball. So I'm going to set up with the golf ball position right down from my left ear. I'm going to shift to 60% of my weight to my left foot. eyes over top of the golf ball, and then I'm going to narrow my focus on that number 2 on my golf ball. Just going to explain further that last position in your setup change. When you get set up and narrow your focus on that number on the golf ball, that's going to steady your head position from keeping it from moving laterally left and right. So when your focus is on that number 2 on the golf ball and you take your backstroke, your head isn't going to shift with your putter. It's a very common mistake I see in the putting greens. Someone's going to take their backswing with their putter and their head follows their putter on the way back. So if they're able to focus more on the number on the golf ball, I can help eliminate that last point. Okay, the setup position is a stagnant position, and that can be worked on and going through like a checklist. But the 5th item that's kind of done on the fly is going to be how to align your putter face. So there's one key way to do this. I see a lot of golfers get in there, they set their feet first, they think they're aimed properly, and then they set their putter face second. And if their putter face and their feet are crisscrossed, they stand not much of a chance at making that putt. So the way to go about this change is find your desired putting line, step up there and get your putter aligned first. Once you're able to learn how to align the putter face and build your stance around that, alignment on how to aim putts towards the hole is going to be greatly improved. Now that you've worked on your setup and a little slight adjustment on how to line up your putter, I'm going to give you a drill to work on your alignment to hitting certain lines of putts or different breaks on your putts. In this drill, I have 4 tees set up, all 8 feet away from the hole. I find this 8-foot distance very important because this is where the PGA Tour pros are 50%. They only make half of these putts from 8 feet. So if you can learn how to line up and make more of these 8-foot putts in practice, they won't look quite as intimidating on the golf course. Goal in practicing this drill is that you can make 8 putts in a row, 2 from each location. When you can align and hit 8 in a row, that means that you can both match your alignment and your putting speed to see more putts go in from 8 feet. This is your distance control putting. This putt's approximately 15 to 20 feet, and I want to be able to stop the golf ball close to the hole if I was to miss. I got 2 tees set up, one approximately 2 feet short of the hole, and the second about 3 feet past the hole. I want to see if I can either make this putt or get it to stop in that nice tap-in range. If I can repeat this 3 balls in a row and then go to a different location and do this again, this is the type of drill that I'd recommend doing before going out and playing. Thanks for tuning in. It'd be great to see you come here to Pheasant Glen and check out the Golf Academy, but if you're unable to make it to Vancouver Island, I suggest consulting your local PGA Canada professional for lessons. Thanks.